Hey guys, what's good? I'm Andre and today I want to cover a couple of different futures with you guys. So we're going to look at cotton and cocoa, and then I want to look at a couple of Forex trades before we start digging into a few stock picks. Now, before we look into the stock picks, I also want to look at NASDAQ and the S&P just to see how those are going. And I'm also gonna cover one specific stock pick, Nvidia, that came over from a request in the comment section. Guys, if you want me to break down your stocks, please leave them in the comment section and I'm gonna do my best to prioritize them. But please let me know what position you're in currently, because that's gonna help me justify the things that I'm saying a bit better. Thank you so much for all of your support recently. Every single like helps my channel a ton since we're still a very small channel, so thank you so much for the commitment. And guys, before we dig further here, please check us out on Patreon. We post a ton of free content. I've just actually published something on cocoa, and we also post a ton of paid content on our $15 a month tier, but you can also try us out for a limited time up until the end of the month. We still have the $5 tier available for just a very cheap way of seeing if we are a good fit for each other. Check us out, guys, and I think you're gonna be happy with the risk to reward and with the ROI potential that you've got on some of the trades that we post in here, and with the content, obviously. Moving into the trades here, guys. So with cocoa, I love things and I'm not too fond of other things, so this channel is pretty clear here. Sorry, this is cotton, not cocoa. With this channel, it's pretty clear. I think we have support here. What I don't love is the fact that we've been testing it quite a few times, so we can probably say that we've tested it once, twice, 3 times, maybe 4 times here, but definitely 4 times here, and now we are into the 5th time of testing the same channel. Now the more you test the same channel, the more likelihood of eventually failing to move higher from there. I don't think that we need a huge move from here. If we get a move into the 200 moving average, which is most likely at this point, I think that's gonna be a good enough risk to reward. So the trade that I would set up here would probably look something along the lines of what I'm gonna set up here with you guys. And I think that we got a pretty good 1 to 4 risk reward, maybe 1 to 5. Please be careful, cotton is a beast. Now, what I don't love is that if we look on the hourly chart, we're gonna see that we've been making higher highs consecutively, but we've also just put in a lower low. I don't love that. It's a break of market structure. On the hourly, it's not the end of the world, and if the 4-hour chart is still holding the market structure of higher highs and, well, higher lows at this point, we haven't made a higher high properly on the 4-hour chart, I'm still happy with this. I think it's a playable setup, but do be careful. Now on cocoa, guys, I posted this on our Patreon maybe a week or so ago, and cocoa finally decided to start moving from the top side here. For what's fair, I was a bit early on it. I kept saying that it would go down. It waited for a retracement into this weekly resistance area here, and as you guys see, we finally got it. It's very overextended on the weekly. On the daily, the MACD is starting to curl back over. So as an initial target, I mean, you guys should play this carefully anyway. Futures are always pretty difficult to play, and you never know when a very big bounce can come. Initially, I would play it into the 40 moving average or 50 if you guys are using a 50. And then ultimately, we can have a take profit range in the $2,900 range over here to retest this trend line from above. Now, if that happens, obviously, this is going to be a home run, but we're gonna see if that actually pans out. The next thing I'd like to look at with you guys would be the USD Swiss franc pair. Guys, we have done exactly what we were talking about last week. We've rallied and broken the trend line. We've retested it from the upside, and now we're moving up. I think that initial profit taking target could be at 0.93, maybe 0.94 in here. We're definitely gonna have some sort of a supply area in here in the 0.94 range. Now from this range, we could hypothetically run all the way up to 1.01, all the way up there, but obviously that's being quite optimistic on the trade, and I think it's going to take a long time to consolidate enough and for the USD to gain enough power. And there's still a lot of murmurs in the market with regards to the USD potentially not getting as much strength and running as much. The next one that I'd like to highlight here would be the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen. I think we are coming up against a really interesting supply area over here. If we zoom out and we take a look on the weekly chart, it's also a pretty significant top that we have, and obviously we're retesting that from below. So let's see where that goes. I wouldn't go too heavy-handed here. You never know how long it might take for the Japanese bank to kind of save yen. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm not I'm not too heavy-handed here. The next one, guys, I want to look at NASDAQ, and I think that with NASDAQ, I've even covered this the other week on Patreon. We have a pretty significant supply area in here in the roughly 15,000 range. I'm looking at the NASDAQ futures here. I think we're bound to retest and test some potential lower lows here. We've been obviously ripping to the upside for quite a while, so retracing back all the way to roughly 13,600 wouldn't be out of the question at all, and that would give us a pretty significant 1 to 3.5 risk reward ratio for this short. Again, we're super overextended. I mean, just look at this MACD. It's crazy the way it looks right now, and I think we're bound for a bit of a correction here. We've been reaping to the upside for way too long. Moving on, guys, the next question was on NVIDIA, and obviously on NVIDIA, it's one of the main reasons why NASDAQ has been reaping upwards that much. I don't quite know what to tell you guys. If you're looking for a setup to enter short, I wouldn't. Long, no way in hell I would do that. For the short, guys, I don't know why you would enter short here. Why would it be shortable here when it wasn't shortable here, when it wasn't shortable here? That's why I have all of these arrows, because I was trying to make this point a bit earlier in another video on the channel. I wouldn't trade this short here. I would wait for a 1, 2, 3 break of a trend line, but at the very least I would wait for a break of structure. Right now you don't even have a break of structure on the 4-hour chart. We are still going higher, we are still making higher highs and higher lows, so I don't see why you would want to be in kind of a defensive spot shorting this one. If you want to sell a credit and you get a good enough chance to kind of sell a credit option spread, sure, that might be a strategy, but it's a riskier one than I usually like to take. So I'm not sure what to tell you guys. I just think there are better setups out there. Speaking of better setups, let's look at United Health. I think that taking this from the 450-ish range is a pretty interesting setup. We've retested the 458 range here on Friday. I think we're probably going to gap down a little bit today, and I would wait for it in the 450 range, at which point I would try to maybe sell a credit, an option spread, something for 40, for 35, but we'll see. We're gonna post it on Patreon if and when we do take the trade. Right now it's just on my watch list. The next one on the watch list, guys, is CVX. It's obviously one of the big names in oil, but I think it's bound to go lower here. Take a look at this channel. It offers us a pretty interesting 1 to 4 risk to reward ratio. If you take this trade, I actually posted this earlier on our Patreon. So I think it's an interesting trade to look at. CVX has been struggling. It's been definitely putting kind of a weird formation here, maybe a topping formation. I've initially drawn it as an upside down head and shoulders, but it invalidated that. It's not one anymore. I don't know what this is, honestly, but it's definitely trading within a range. It's struggling to go higher, and I think the path of least resistance would be lower for CVX. The next one, guys, would be IBM, and for what it's worth, we're gonna look at 2 to 3 names that are in the same space. For IBM, I mean, the chart says it all. We've retested this 139-ish area. I would love for it to go a little bit higher so that we can retest maybe 143, but today when the market opens, I want to take a look at what potential setups I might have for IBM from here. Maybe I can take a debit trade, an option spread debit trade. We're gonna see exactly what the implied volatility looks like and take sort of a position once we have all of the data available to us. And again, look at Patreon. I think you need the third tier to get our options trades. Look at Patreon there, and we're gonna post it a bit later today. The next one, guys, would be Cisco. For Cisco, again, as I was telling you a bit earlier, in the same space with IBM, so I would take either or, not both. It's coming up against this channel here that it's traded in, this range that it's traded in for a while in the past. It found resistance previously. I think it's finding resistance again. I would probably take a short here. Again, we're going to look at options. I'm not going to trade this with shares. And finally, guys, one that could be tradable with shares. And since we looked at NVIDIA and we couldn't really establish what should we be doing, I'm going to show you what we should be doing on AMD and why I was telling you guys that NVIDIA looks a lot better and I wouldn't short NVIDIA. Now, I think AMD is starting to come into the range, into the shortable range. We broke a trend line, we retested it a couple of times from below, and now we are moving lower. What I don't love here is that we still put in a higher high. I would love for us to put in a lower low before we jump into this one. And I think that if we do manage to put in a lower low, this is gonna give up and it's probably going to be retesting a range somewhere around $90 at the very least, I would say. So don't feel like you need to rush this. Take your time. I think this is shortable with shares rather than with options, but I think you can also sell a credit spread on it, a call credit spread. So again, we're gonna look at that when the market opens today. Guys, that's all for today. Please check us out on Patreon. Again, you can still opt into the $5 tier for a limited time only. After that, it's gonna be $15 for the shares trades. For the options trades, you're gonna have to opt into the pro trader option. Thanks so much for listening to me blabbering for so long. Take care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a fantastic day.